Unit 4. Till now, we have covered two topics. We have done leverage analysis and we have done EBIT, EPS analysis. Under leverage analysis, we saw how use of fixed cost assets and fixed cost funds helps the firm to magnify the uh, benefits to the investors, and ultimately it is the financial leverage that, if used judiciously by the firm, can increase the earning per share of the equity shareholder, and that is what is the main objective of financial management, that is wealth maximization. Under EBIT EPS analysis, again we saw that correct capital structure can increase the EPS of the equity shareholders. Now we move to the next concept in this unit, which is the capital structure theories. What are we looking here? We are looking and we are analyzing the relationship between capital structure and the overall valuation of the firm. So theoretically, we are now seeing the relation between debt equity, which is the capital structure, overall cost of capital, and firm valuation. There are four theories that we will be covering under this. We have the net income approach, net operating income approach, approach, Modigliani Miller approach, and then we have a traditional approach. Now, these are different schools of thought, in the sense that a couple of these theories say that yes, capital structure decisions are having an impact on the valuation of the firm, whereas there's another theory which will say that no, capital structure decisions do not impact the cost of capital and the overall value of the firm. So you have diverging views here. We will have a look at each of the views. Three views are more of theoretical models. So the three views which I talk about theoretically are the first one under that is the net income approach. The second is the net operating income approach, and the traditional approach. Now, these are more of theoretical views. These theories have again different views, diverging views that I will tell you. But it is the approach which we talk about here, which gives you a more behavioral justification of how capital structure impacts valuation. Though this theory says that the capital structure does not impact the overall valuation of the firm, but it gives a more behavioral justification. So, under these theories, net income approach says yes, capital structure impacts the overall valuation of the firm. NOI approach, net operating income approach, already has a no here. So it says no, capital structure does not impact the overall valuation of the firm. Approach is also the same school of thought. The only difference is that it is giving a behavioral justification to the NOI approach. So when we'll be doing the theory in detail, there you'll see that it shows the working application of the NOI approach. And the last theory is the traditional approach. Now, traditional approach is a more balanced approach in the sense that it says to some extent capital structure impacts the valuation of the firm, the cost of capital, but beyond a point, addition of debt or changes in capital structure, they do not impact the value of the firm. So, to a point, there is some impact noticed, but after a point of time, the capital structure decisions they become irrelevant. Okay, so let's take up each of the theories one by one. But before that, there are some basic assumptions under all the theories and some formulas which we will be using. So let's start with the assumptions. The first assumption, I'm sorry, the first assumption is that there are only two sources of finance which the firm is using: simple debt and equity. Assets of the firm are given. There will not be any change in them during the time period which we are considering. So there would be no change in the investment decision of the firm. The firm is paying 100% dividend to the shareholders. So the policy of the firm is to distribute the entire profits to the shareholders. There won't be any retained earnings. The EBIT is constant, fixed, given, not expected to grow. Business risk is constant. So apart from the four assumptions which we have, we are assuming a very perfect world, perfect market condition where the risk remains the same, there are no corporate taxes, and firm is enjoying a perpetual life. Okay, so because of these assumptions, we come to the models. So we can derive the models only with certain assumptions. We start with the first approach, which is a positive approach in the sense that it says yes, capital structure decision, use of debt in the capital structure will impact the overall cost of capital and it will impact the valuation of the firm. Let's start with the introduction to the approach. So, this theory was given by David Durant, and he says under the theory that capital structure decision is relevant to the valuation of the firm. Any change in capital structure, and more specifically, what we are talking about is change in debt or change in financial leverage. So, usage of debt will lead to a change in the overall cost of capital and the total value of the firm. There are some additional assumptions under this theory. This theory works as long as we assume that cost of equity is more than the cost of debt. So this is another assumption. There are no taxes, which we were assuming in the previous common assumptions जो हमने ली थी for all the four theories. And very important, the usage of debt is not changing the risk perception of the equity shareholders. This means that equity shareholders they do not mind how much debt is there in the capital structure. मतलब, even if the percentage of debt is increased in the capital structure, they are pretty much the same. Their risk perception is not changing. Okay, So normally with increased debt in practical world, with increased debt, the risk perception of the equity shareholders also changes. So equity shareholders find high debt firms to be more risky, and hence they invest accordingly. But here we say that even if debt is increased, debt financing is increasing, the risk perception remains the same as both KD and KE remain constant. Now the NI approach, the net income approach says the starting point is that any change in the financing mix, any change in the debt equity ratio will change the overall cost of capital. Overall cost of capital is our weighted average cost of capital. तो हमने यूनिट 3 में करा था, कैलकुलेशन में करा था WACC. So it will with change in financial leverage, change in the debt equity ratio, there will be a change in the overall cost of capital, which will then lead to a change in the value of the firm. After this, since we are saying that cost of debt is lower than the cost of equity, increasing the use of cheaper debt, cheaper debt in comparison to the costlier equity, the overall cost of capital will fall, and this will lead to an increase in the value of the firm. Now, value of the firm, how is it impacted by the overall cost of capital? KO is EBIT by V. V value of firm is value of debt plus value of equity. तो जब आपका ओवरऑल कॉस्ट ऑफ कैपिटल कम हो रहा है तो आपकी वैल्यू ऑफ फर्म जो है वो इंक्रीज हो जाएगी, क्योंकि दिस फॉर्मूला, when the denominator is falling, then the overall value of the firm will increase. So the net income approach says that with the use of cheaper debt in the capital structure, the overall returns to the shareholders, they increase, the value of the firm increases, and the cost of capital is falling. So this relationship can also, sorry, this relationship can also be depicted graphically. You can see this graph. On the x-axis you have the degree of leverage, that is the debt equity proportion, and on the y-axis you have cost of equity, cost of debt, and KW or KO, which is the overall cost of capital. So what you see is that cost of equity and cost of debt are constant. They are not changing, and cost of equity is higher than the cost of debt. As you move to a higher degree of leverage, you see that the overall cost of capital is falling. You can see this slanting line, the overall cost of capital, it is falling, which implies that the firm is getting the benefit of financial leverage. Now, this the graph shows that KO and KD are meeting here, but practically again This is not possible. You cannot have a 100% debt firm. बट ग्राफिकली जब हम इसको प्रेजेंट करते हैं, हम दोनों लाइंस को शो कर देते हैं दैट दे आर मीटिंग, which is practically not possible. In fact, they come very close, but these 2 points never meet. KO and KD never meet because there cannot be a 100% dead firm. They can come close, but they cannot meet. But yes, this starting point is possible because yes, there can be a 100% equity firm. और 100% इक्विटी फर्म का फिर कॉस्ट ऑफ कैपिटल भी ज्यादा है। जैसे जैसे आप डेट प्रोपोर्शन इंक्रीज कर रहे हो कैपिटल स्ट्रक्चर में, योर ओवरऑल कॉस्ट ऑफ कैपिटल इज फॉलिंग। So the net income approach, we can therefore conclude this approach suggests says that firms with higher financial leverage will have a higher value. So this approach is recommending the use of financial leverage. Is this clear? The point where the overall cost of capital will be the lowest will be the point of maximum valuation for the firm. So that was the theoretical aspect. We now take up one practical question on the NI approach. Have a look at the question on your screens. A company's expected EBIT is 3 lakh. The equity capitalization rate is 10%. So EBIT is 3 lakh rupees. Your cost of equity is 10%. The company has 5 lakh 8% debentures. So KE is 10%. KD is 8%. There are no taxes. So before tax, after tax cost means one and the same thing. Cost of debt is 8%. You need to find out the value of the firm and the overall cost of capital as per the NI approach. For the NI approach, we start with the calculation of value of the firm, and through that we come to the overall cost of capital. So please have a look. EBIT में से सबसे पहले आप इंटरेस्ट को माइनस करोगे। 8% डेट है, 5 लाख रुपीज के डिबेंचर्स हैं, तो 40,000 आपका इंटरेस्ट पेमेंट है। यू गेट EBT or profit before tax, and in absence of taxes, this is the earnings available to equity shareholders of 2,60,000. In fact, one of the assumptions was that the entire earnings are distributed to the shareholders. 100% dividend payout ratio hai, there are no retained earnings. So in this chapter, the earnings available to equity shareholders, profit after tax, before tax, all means the net income of the equity shareholders. Now this net income can be used to calculate the overall cost of equity, value of equity, net income upon cost of equity. So 2,60,000 divided by 0.10 will give you the value of equity as 26 lakh rupees. Value of debt is given, remains unchanged at rupees 5 lakh. तो अब आपने वैल्यू ऑफ इक्विटी, वैल्यू ऑफ डेट आपको मिल गया है. So now you can easily calculate the value of firm. Value of firm is value of debt plus value of equity, which gives you 31 lakh as the value of the firm. What do you need now? You need to calculate the overall cost of capital. KO is EBIT upon B. So P lakh upon 31 lakh. This gives you 9.6% as the overall cost of capital. There is another formula to calculate KO which can be used. KO is proportion of debt into cost of debt plus proportion of equity, weight of equity. ये हमने cost of capital में भी करा था कि आप weighted average cost of capital calculate करते हो तो weight of debt KD, sorry, WD into KD, weight of equity WE into KE. So 5 lakh, I'm writing all the values in lakh. 5 lakh upon 31 lakh into 0.08 plus 26 lakh upon 31 lakh into 0.10. This will also, when you solve, you will get the answer as 9.6%. So this is how you use the net income approach to calculate the overall cost of capital and the value of the firm.